So hi everyone, welcome to our Oracle Goldengate webinar. My name is Ashish Agarwal and I will be delivering this session to you. So before commencing, let me introduce myself to you. So I have 10 plus of years of experience as Oracle Goldengate specialist and Oracle DBA. I am conducting trainings on Oracle Goldengate for past more than 6 years, and I have trained more than now 700 plus individuals and 20 plus corporate clients. I'm yet to update this slide. So I'm working in Canada currently and provide online trainings from here, and I have worked and implemented Goldengate in more than 50 projects so far. Hence I share real-time scenarios and test cases during the training. So during the session you will find that there are real-time scenarios which we will be discussing. And also I'm currently working for Embassy in Canada apart from that. So my mail ID is ashishagarwaleg@gmail.com. My mobile number and call number is also listed over here. Anyways, I'll share that with you later. So today we are going to learn about what is Goldengate, why we should learn Goldengate, what are the advantage of Goldengate, why Goldengate is a preferred technology over its competitors, what is the architecture, how process data flow using Goldengate, and how does capture happens and gets applied on the target database. So first of all, let us discuss what is Goldengate. Goldengate is a tool which provides you near real-time data replication capability. So Goldengate allows you to perform near real-time data replication. Replication may be unidirectional, bidirectional, or dimensional using Goldengate. So Goldengate allows you to one-to-one replication if you want, or bidirectional replication, or multi-dimensional replication. So Goldengate basically is a change data capture tool. What do we mean by change data capture tool? Which captures the changes which are happening in your database, and then those changes are applied to the target database. So there are various change data capture tools apart from Goldengate. You have IBM SharePlex, Dell SharePlex is there, Mirror is there. So there are a lot of competitors of Goldengate in the market. Again, DataGuard is also a change data capture tool. Oracle Streams also is a change data capture tool. So there are many change data capture tool available in the market. Goldengate is one of them. However, Goldengate provides near real-time transactional data replication. Basically, Goldengate was founded in 1995 and in 2009 Oracle overtook it, and since then it is known as Oracle Goldengate. Prior to that, it was basically developed for replicating the ATM databases. ATM databases are on Enscribe database. So prior to 2009, Goldengate was the only tool which could have replicated your ATM databases. Its primary work was to replicate ATM databases. But post 2009, since Oracle have overtaken it, its capability has been increased to various heterogeneous databases. So we'll be discussing more on that. So replication can be unidirectional, bidirectional, or multidirectional. So you could have both the sites live in Goldengate. Replication will happen from one site to the other site. Replication can involve several sources and targets simultaneously and be used for distributing data for backup, hot standby, auditing, reporting, warehousing, and load distribution. So Goldengate allows you to have replication being used for hot backup, or you can use it for hot standby, just for standby, or you can use it for auditing purpose, reporting purpose, warehousing purpose, and load distribution. So I'll give you one example. Means I was working for State Bank of India, which is one of the largest databases in the banking world in 2012. So their database size was 43 TB at that moment. It must have increased now. So what they used to have was they were replicating the data using Oracle DataGuard. But DataGuard was not able to, means the transactions which used to happen on that 43 TB database were huge. Your data card wasn't able to replicate them in real time. So what used to happen was, there basically at that moment their primary server was kept in Mumbai, India, and secondary server was kept in Hyderabad, India itself. So when what they were doing, their OLTP transactions and reporting transactions were running on the same Mumbai server, which was primary one. So what used to happen, since OLTP transactions used to coincide with the reporting transactions, there are a lot of reporting jobs which runs in every banking organization. So it used to interfere with the OLTP transaction. As a result, it used to have bad customer experience because the response time of the database was very less because of this. So what we suggested them, that we'll replicate the Oracle Golden Gate. It will replicate their database data from Mumbai server to Hyderabad server using Oracle Golden Gate. Now once the data is replicated using Oracle Golden Gate, they can take down their report, they can run their reporting jobs on the secondary server. The reason being, reporting jobs can run on the data which is 5 to 7 seconds later. Correct. It does not, it requires real-time report, but even if it can, even if your Golden Gate claims that their if configured properly, you should not be getting high lag. It's near real time. So if the lag is less than 5 to 10 seconds, data is available on target, they can use their target server for reporting purpose. And in fact, once we implemented that, the load on the primary server went down drastically and customer satisfaction increased, which was very less earlier. So using Golden Gate, you can replicate the data as it is, or you can replicate the data using, you can do data filtration, transformation, you can split into different distributions, you can have metadata added or filtered, or you can replicate both DML as well as DDL, or it can be replicated as a whole or as a part. So with Golden Gate, there are many capabilities. Say for instance, your source database has 100 schemas. You want to replicate the data of one schema. It is possible. Your source database has 100 tables. You want to replicate the data of only 5 tables. It is possible using Oracle Golden Gate. Out of those 100 tables, there are 500 transactions which are happening in a database, for instance. You want to replicate the data of only particular 100 rows. Say for instance, you want to replicate the data of only those customers whose country is USA. Your database contains data for customers all over the world. You want to do some analysis. You want to perform some business intelligence on US customers. So you can do that using Oracle Golden Gate. You can transform the data as well using Oracle Golden Gate as per your requirement. So say for instance, the employee table on source has salary and commission column on source. However, on target, it's only salary column. You want that so you want that target should have the combination of salary and commission column. So it is possible in Oracle Golden Gate. So Golden Gate provides you various capabilities to filter out, do data filtration, data transformation using Oracle Golden Gate. Also with Golden Gate, you can replicate both DML as well as DDL transactions. So you can replicate both DML and DDL as a part or as a whole as well. So now question comes, why Golden Gate? Why should we use Oracle Golden Gate? So with Goldengate, data is sent in real time with sub-second latency. So as soon as you commit the data on source, it becomes available on target database with sub-second latency. So say for instance, you committed the data on source at 7:30 a.m. in the morning. If it should be applied if configured properly. It should be applied on target database within next 5 to 7 seconds. Goldengate supports heterogeneous environments across different databases and hardware types. So with Goldengate, it is possible that your database could be Oracle or non-Oracle. Goldengate can replicate. Also, with Goldengate, it is not a requirement that your source and target database should be in different, it should be on same operating system. They could be on different operating system as well. So with Goldengate, you have various capabilities which you can meet. When we compare Goldengate with DataGuard, if we compare, so comparing Goldengate with DataGuard, there are various restrictions. Like with Goldengate, you cannot replicate, you should have Oracle to Oracle, you can have only Oracle to Oracle, or Goldengate supports your Oracle to non-Oracle or non-Oracle to non-Oracle itself. Your platform could be different as well. However, in DataGuard, it has to be same. You cannot do filter transaction. Like, see, the basic difference between Goldengate and DataGuard is Goldengate is a object level replication. DataGuard is a database level replication. So whatever database level commands, in fact, you will do in DataGuard, that will be replicated to target. However, with Goldengate, it's an object level replication. So how it works it captures the data from source database and then send it using the trail files and apply it on the target database. So it's not that Goldengate, the basic difference between DataGuard and Goldengate you need to keep in mind is Goldengate is an object level replication, DataGuard is a database level replication. You cannot filter out the data. Say for instance, as we discussed, you can have 100 rows on source and you want to replicate only 50 rows. It is not possible with DataGuard, but with Goldengate, you can do that. Also, the names of object may differ in Goldengate. That is one of the major capability of Goldengate is you should not have same schema name, same object name. They could differ. Still Goldengate can replicate the data. Any hardware type when we are discussing, so Windows to Linux is also possible. Goldengate delivers high performance with low impact. So the performance of Goldengate which it delivers on the source database is very high. However, the impact of this is very less. See, Goldengate is a tool which is external to database. Now a tool which is external to database, and if you are implementing it on the database, it will definitely have some performance impact. However, when we compare the performance impact of Goldengate in comparison to its other tool, Goldengate is very much, Goldengate load on the database is very less. It's only 1 to 2% on source database. However, with the introduction of 12c, there is a concept of integrated capture. So now the load on the source database has in fact been very less now. The load on the source database is very less. So Goldengate delivers you high performance with low impact. Goldengate also has ability to move large volume of data very efficiently. So Goldengate, there are a lot of competitors of Oracle Goldengate in the market right now. But why still Goldengate? So the technical points include it can also move, it also has the ability to move large volume of data very efficiently. That is, it can also move your claw blob as well very efficiently, and no single point of failure. So Golden Gate, it always ensures that your database is highly available. Say for instance, your primary database is kept in New York, secondary database is kept in Dallas. So your application primary server is New York and secondary server is Dallas. Now your application is down due to some reason on New York. There is some disaster, there is some power failure in New York. So what your application will do, since the data is getting replicated to the Dallas server in near real time, your application can quickly switch over to the secondary server, ensuring that there is no single point of failure in Oracle Goldengate. So apart from technical reasons, there are some financial reasons as well for using Goldengate. Like every organization right now has most of the organization signed end user license agreement with Oracle Goldengate. Now, why there are so many jobs? What is the use of Oracle Goldengate in the market right now? If you see why it is one of the hottest technology, the reason being, apart from technical support it delivers, you can use Goldengate for business intelligence purpose. You could use Goldengate for data replication. You can use Goldengate for disaster recovery. You can use Goldengate for any business intelligence as well. So Goldengate provides you so many capabilities. So what organization have right now is many organizations sign end user license agreement with Oracle. So what happens when they sign end user license agreement with Oracle? They are allowed to use any Oracle Goldengate, any Oracle product without any extra cost. They can use Oracle Goldengate with they can use any tool, in fact, not only Goldengate, they can use any Oracle product including Oracle Goldengate on any number of servers when they sign end user license agreement. So once they have signed end user license agreement with Oracle, they can use Goldengate. So Goldengate capability is very much, so they use Goldengate for various applications. Now since they have to use Goldengate for various applications, there are not many Goldengate administrators in the market. To run Goldengate, they will definitely require Goldengate administrators. So that's where you pitch in. That's where there are so many demand. Still not so many Goldengate administrators in the market right now. So that's why Goldengate administrators are in high demand. So there are both technical as well as financial reasons to use Oracle Goldengate. Now, what business requirements can Goldengate supports? So Goldengate can support number of business requirement like business continuity and high availability. So as we discussed, your New York server is down. Even if your New York server is down, your Dallas server is getting the data in near real time, right? It is getting the data in near real time. So whatever data it has, it will be available in the Dallas server. So what application can do is, if it is unable to connect to the primary server in New York, it will automatically switch and connect to the secondary server in Dallas. So it ensures that your business continuity is not hampered and your database is always highly available. Goldengate also supports data migration and upgrade. So one of the major capability, many organizations, why do they use Goldengate is just for zero downtime migration and upgradation. So Goldengate supports zero downtime migration and upgradation as well. So you will have to use Goldengate for many organizations have to upgrade their database from 10G to 11G or 11G to 12C. Now when they do that, they have to take huge downtime depending on the size of the database. So when the size of the database is huge, the downtime also increases. Also, even if it's a small size database, the downtime they have to take is huge, definitely. In fact, last year we upgraded the database, last to last year, in fact 2015, we upgraded one of the database from 10G to 11G. The database size was only 39 GB, but since it was a very critical database, it took, we had to take the downtime of 12 hours for upgrading it because there were a lot of complexities. Now you can understand, if you have so much complexities, if you have to take so much downtime, customers are very irate because their system is not available. It is one of the major telecom company of the world for which we had to do. Now since database was not available, customers were really very much affected by that. As a result, organizations have to, apart from facing customer irate, they also have to understand lot of, they also have lot of revenue loss resulting in business opportunity loss. So what organizations do? They use Goldengate just for upgrading and migrating their database using Goldengate. Using Goldengate, it is zero downtime migration and upgradation. That is, your database does not require any downtime. Goldengate supports decision support system and warehousing. So with Goldengate, you can use Goldengate for business intelligence purpose. Like as we said, I'll give you example of, let us take a simple example of AT&T for instance. So AT&T is an organization which has its presence all over the world. So say for instance, AT&T has its data, AT&T has its customers based in US, based in Singapore, based in Malaysia, based in Australia. So what, and UK as well. So AT&T has a global database which contains information related to Australia customer, US customer, Singapore, Malaysia and UK. Now they want that, now they did, the higher management of AT&T decided that they want to understand, they want to do some business intelligence on AT&T database. They want to understand exactly how much revenue a particular region is generating. Say for instance, how much revenue they are getting generated from US, or how much new customers are getting into Australia. Using that, they can understand which area they need to focus more on, which area they are generating highest revenue from, which area they need to focus more on so that they can add new customers. So using Goldengate they can achieve all these stuff, business intelligence. Also you can do data integration and consolidation as well. That is, you can broadcast the data or consolidate the data. You can send, you can have one to many replication or many to one as well using Goldengate. So Goldengate supports unidirectional replication. That is, you can use your secondary instance just for reporting instance, as we discussed for State Bank of India. Then you can use Goldengate for bidirectional as well. Instance failover, active active. So in Goldengate, you may have both the sites active. Application can be connected to any site. So whatever site it is connected to, application can connect to, say for instance, site A and site B. So application will be connected to site A as well as other application will be connected to site B. So whatever transactions application is making to site A, it will be replicated to site B, and whatever transaction site B is making, that will be replicated to site A. So this is another major difference between DataGuard and Goldengate. So you just need to understand Goldengate is an object level replication, DataGuard is a database level replication. You can use Goldengate for peer-to-peer, load balancing and high availability as well. So say for instance you have 3 separate servers. You want to replicate the data using Oracle Goldengate. So you can have a data replicated from A to B, B to A, B to C, C to A, A to C, C to A. You can broadcast the data using Oracle Goldengate. That is, you have one source and 3 targets. So with Goldengate, it is possible to broadcast the data as per your requirement. So in Goldengate, you can either send the same data to all 3. Say for instance, your source database has 100 tables. You want to send 30 tables to target 1, 30 tables to all 100 tables to target 1, all 100 tables to target 2, all 100 tables to target 3. It is possible. Or you can send filtered data as well, right? You want to send 30 tables to target 1, 30 tables to target 2, and remaining 61 to 100 tables to target 3. So it's up to you what kind of broadcast you want to do. You can consolidate the data as well using Oracle Goldengate. Like you can use Goldengate for data warehouse, you can use Goldengate for data mart, you can use Goldengate for data store as well. You can also cascade the data using Oracle Goldengate. Like what used to happen earlier was, like I was talking about State Bank of India. The State Bank of India is a big database. They want Goldengate is an external tool, always keep in mind, to database. So even though how much less performance impact it may have, but it will be there. So you may not be allowed to install Goldengate on the same server where database is installed. So what do? You install Goldengate on intermediate server. Goldengate reads the transaction logs from intermediate server, and then data gets replicated to the various targets. So you can do cascading as well. So there are various use cases of Goldengate. Goldengate is currently being used in all the big telecom companies of the world. When we talk about AT&T, British Telecom, Vodafone, in India, Airtel, Idea, everyone is using. When we talk about financial institutions, all big financial institutions of the world is using Goldengate because of its capabilities. When we talk about Royal Bank of Scotland, or when we talk about Bank of America, when we talk about State Bank of India, all big major telecom company or banking sectors are using Goldengate. In fact, in India, Reserve Bank of India has made it mandate, it's a regulatory that they have to use Goldengate for application purpose because the capabilities which it has, they are too high. It saves you from disasters. So let us now discuss about architecture of Oracle Goldengate. So like any other tool, architecture of Goldengate is very important. Goldengate architecture, just like your database architecture is very important, in the same way your architecture of Goldengate is also very important. So you have source database and target database. Your source database could be Oracle or non-Oracle. Target could be Oracle or non-Oracle. Now every database has its own transaction logs. When we call Oracle, these transaction logs are known as redo logs or backup of redo logs, which are known as archive logs. So whatever changes you do, whatever insert, update, delete or any DDL you do, those changes are recorded into transaction logs. And in Oracle, in redo logs or backup of redo logs, which are archive logs. So whatever transactions you are doing, those transactions gets recorded into the transaction logs of the database. So what do, you create a Goldengate capture process. Goldengate capture process, it reads your transaction logs in sequential manner and captures only committed transactions. Remember, the transaction logs may contain committed as well as uncommitted transactions. So what capture process does, it captures only committed transactions. It does not capture uncommitted transactions. Now once the data is captured by the capture process, it writes it to the trail file on local system, which are known as local trail. So trail files are the binary format files which contains the data which are captured by the capture process. Once the data is captured by the capture process and returned to the local trail, the Golden Gate data pump process reads the data out of your local trail, sends it over TCP/IP network and writes it to the trail file on remote system, which are known as remote trail. As soon as data becomes available into remote trail, the Golden Gate delivery process reads the data out of your remote trail and apply it to target database. So there are three processes which are involved for the replication. One is the capture process, which captures the data. Second is the pump process, which sends the data over the network. And third is the delivery process, which applies the data from remote trail to target database. The trail file on local system is known as local trail. Trail file on target system is known as target trail or remote trail. So how does it flow? Capture process captures the data from source database, writes it to local trail. Pump process reads the data from local trail, writes it to remote trail. Delivery process reads the data from your remote trail and apply it to target database. So three processes. Along with that, you have trail files over here, which are responsible for Golden Gate replication. However, always remember your trail file will have only committed data. It won't have uncommitted data as well. The reason being, capture process captures only and only committed transactions. Also, if you see, each process over here has a source to read from and a target to write to. So capture process source is transaction logs of the database. Target is local trail. Pump process source is local trail. Target is remote trail. Delivery process source is remote trail and target is target database. In bidirectional, what happens is consider bidirectional as nothing but two-way unidirectional. So just like you are setting up the replication from site A to site B, similarly now consider the replication from site B to site A. So now site B will act as source in case of bidirectional and site A will act as target. So here again your target database will have its own transaction logs where the changes will be made. So as we said, consider it as two-way unidirectional. So now set up the unidirectional replication from site B to site A. So what you will do, you'll create a capture process which will read the data from your source database and write it to local trail. Once the data becomes available into local trail, pump process sends the data over TCP/IP network and writes it to remote trail. Once the data becomes available into remote trail on site A, the delivery process on site A will apply the data on the site A database. Always keep in mind, capture process is also known as extract. Delivery process is also known as replicate process. Both are used interchangeably. So in case of bidirectional, you will find capture, pump and local trail, remote trail and delivery process available on both the environments. However, always keep in mind your source and target, all the processes are individual to each other. So your capture process can run even if your pump and delivery is done. Your pump process can run even if your capture and delivery is done. Your delivery can run even if your capture and pump is done. So each process, each component over here is independent of each other. They are not dependent on anyone. So now here what we are discussing is capture process is reading the transaction logs of database directly. So this process of capture is known as classic capture. In classic capture, your capture process reads the transaction logs of source database directly. So as we discussed, Goldengate is a tool which has, because it is external to database, so it has some performance impact. It may have some performance impact. So so with the introduction of 11G R2, Goldengate introduced the concept of integrated capture. So in integrated capture, what happens is your capture process does not read the transaction logs of database directly. It does not read the transaction logs of database directly in case of integrated capture. Here what happens is between redo logs and extract process, there is one more layer in between which is known as log miner database. Log miner database is nothing but same what you use for mining the archive log files. So when you mine archive log files, you create a log miner. So same way, what you do here is whatever changes are happening to the database, a copy of those changes gets returned to the log miner database. Say for instance, if you are doing any insert, update and delete statement. So what will happen? First, it will be returned to the transaction logs, that is redo logs and archive logs of database. A copy of those changes will be returned to the log miner database. It is automatically created, so you need not to create it on your own. So a copy of those changes is returned to the log miner. Now once the changes are returned into the log miner by the redo log, from redo logs and archive logs, whatever changes are required by the extract process are passed on by the log miner process to the extract process in form of LCR, logical change records. If you see in classic capture, your extract is reading the transaction log. However, here if you see, extract is not reading anything. It is receiving the change from the log miner. So what happens here is, whatever changes are happening into the database, those changes gets returned to the redo logs. Now from redo logs, a copy of those changes is returned to the log miner database. Now log miner passes on the changes to the extract process which are required by extract in form of LCR. LCR means, LCR stands for logical change records. So once the changes are passed on to the extract process by log miner, extract then writes it to the local trail, data pump then reads the data from local trail and write it to remote trail, and then remote trail is read by delivery process and applied to the target database. So here extract process is not reading the transaction logs directly. Your log miner is passing on the changes which are required by the extract process in form of LCRs, logical change records. Now here, why the change was required here was, the reason is earlier when the extract process reads the transaction logs directly, it has some performance impact. However, here log miner is getting the change and passing on the changes to the extract process. So basically extract is not communicating directly with the transaction logs of database. It is receiving the committed changes which are required. Now the performance of integrated capture is much higher than the classic capture. You must be wondering how it can be. Since here the extract process is reading the transaction logs directly. However, here you have one more layer in between, which is log miner. Still, how can the performance be high? Also, how can the load be less as well? Because still log miner is anyways getting the changes. So how can load be less? With respect to performance, I tell you, we did one of the test in our organization last year or at the starting of this year. So what we found out that the lag when we were using classic capture up to 8,000 it was 5 seconds, up to 8,000 transactions per second. The lag with classic capture was 5 seconds. When we increased it to around 12,000 to 15,000, lag increased to around 30 seconds. And when it was more, lag was very much high. However, with integrated capture, when the transactions per second were 14,000 to 15,000, lag notice was only 2 seconds. When we increased it to 18 seconds, lag was increased to 5 to 7 seconds. And when we increased it to around 22,000 transactions per second, lag never crossed 30 seconds ever with integrated capture. However, with classic capture, with 22,000 transactions per second, lag would have been, you cannot imagine what it would be. It would have been very high. Now the question comes, same question, if we think logically, extract process is reading the transaction logs directly. So it should be faster in comparison to this, right? Because integrated capture is much, should be, means lag should be high because there is one more layer in between of log miner. The reason why integrated capture performance is better than a classic capture is, if you see in classic capture, as we said, capture process reads the transaction logs in sequential manner. Basically, it scans the changes, and once it scans, then it captures. Now, capture process, since it is external to the database, it may take some time to scan. However, in case of integrated capture, that scanning part is done by the log miner. Now since log miner is internal to the database, the scanning part has very less time. It takes very less time in comparison to the Goldengate extract process. The reason being, extract process, Goldengate extract process is external to the database. However, log miner is internal to the database. And as soon as whatever changes are required by the extract, log miner passes on those changes to the extract process. Consider a scenario. We also said that with Goldengate, it is possible to do filtered filtered changes as well, filtered transaction replication as well. Say for instance, your database contains 100 tables. You want to replicate the data of only 2 tables. So DPT1 and EMP1. So what happens? The transaction logs will contain all the data. They will contain all the data for all 100 tables, and also they will include sys and system schema data as well, correct, which cannot be replicated using Goldengate. So what will happen, your transaction logs will contain all the changes. Say for instance, your transaction log contains 10,000 transactions. So, and for extract related to these 2 tables, only 2 transactions are considerable. That is, 2 transactions are there for DPT1 and EMP1. Remaining transactions are for other tables and schemas which are not required for extract to capture. So in case of integrated capture, even though there are only 2 transactions which it has to capture, however, Goldengate reads the transaction logs in sequential manner. So it will have to scan all 10,000 transactions. Now when it scans all 10,000 transactions, since it is external, it will take some time. Though not that much, however, with integrated capture, this is done internally by log miner, and since log miner is internal, the process, whatever process we are discussing, takes very less time in comparison to the classic capture. So here in the architecture, you just need to see that pump process is not sending the trail file over the network. Always remember, pump process is not sending the trail file over the network. It is sending the data which is getting returned to the trail file over the network. So it does not wait your trail file to get full. Why Goldengate is real time? Because it does not wait your trail file to get full. Whatever data is returned, as soon as capture process has returned the data to the trail file, at the very same moment, pump process will read that data, send it over TCP IP network and write it to remote trail. So with the introduction of 12C, 12C is extension of 11G. So whatever features were there in 11G, they have been enhanced in 12C. So with 12C, support for multi-tenant architecture has been introduced. So now multi-tenant architecture is future. In fact, it is now present as well. But going forward from 12.2 onwards, you'll always have to use container and pluggable with Oracle. So with 12C, support for multi-tenant architecture has been introduced. High performance data replication has been introduced. Integrated capture enhancement. So integrated capture was introduced in 11G-R2 and integrated replicate has been introduced in 12C. You have two modes of capture, integrated capture, classic capture. Similarly, delivery or replicate has two modes, integrated and classic. So with 11G-R2, you have integrated capture as well. With 12C, you have integrated as well as classic replicate. Till 11G-R2, it was only classic replicate. Now Goldengate security enhancement has been done as well. So you have password storage and credential store and wallet. You have compatibility with database data pump during initial load as well. So so let us discuss the course duration of Goldengate and what we are going to discuss during the training. So the duration of course will be 19 to 20 hours and it would be completely hands-on. The Goldengate training would be conducted on Oracle Goldengate 12C version. Platform which we are going to use is Unix and database version would be Oracle 12.1.2.0.1. So we'll be having two virtual boxes which would be shared with you as well. So in these we'll be having one Ggate 1 as source and Ggate 2 as target. So whatever transactions we'll be having on Ggate 1, they will get replicated to Ggate 2. So just let me show you how does it work is. So I have already configured the Goldengate processes, extract and data pump process what we discussed on Ggate 1 and on Ggate 2 we already have the replicate. So let us see how process data flow. So if I start the process, let me start the process. So now when we check, you first of all need to identify what would be your source table, what would be your target table. So our source table is DEPT1 and EMP1 and target table is DEPT2 and EMP21 Ggate 2. So what we are going to do on Ggate 1, whatever transactions we are going to do in DEPT1, it will be replicated to DEPT2 on Ggate. Similarly, whatever transactions we are going to do in EMP1, it will be replicated to EMP2 on Ggate 2. So we have identified our source. So what we are going to do? We are going to do some transaction in this table. So I have a DML script over here which will insert 4 rows in DEPT1 and 7 rows in EMP1. You will find that it will automatically be replicated to the target system, that is Ggate 2. So when I run dml.sql, let me run dml.sql. So this will insert 4 and 7 rows respectively. Right now if you see, 0 rows are there in DEPT1 and 0 rows in EMP1. So when I have run dml.sql, you will find that some rows have been inserted. So if I do select star from DEPT1, 4 rows have been inserted on source in DEPT1 and select star from EMP1. 7 rows have been inserted into EMP1. Now our requirement is this should be replicated using Oracle Goldengate on Ggate 2. So let us see whether it is reflecting over there or not. So earlier there were no rows in DEPT2 and EMP2 on Ggate 2. So let us check now. Select star from DEPT2. So now we check the replication has happened. DEPT2 now contains 4 rows and EMP2 also contains 7 rows. So how did it happen? Let us see. So we have already configured the processes ext, int and depump. We'll be discussing how to configure these processes during our training sessions. However, let us see how the capture happened and how did the data transfer to target. So ext, int, what it did, you have created a extract process with the name ext, int. So what ext, int is doing, it is receiving the changes from log miner, only committed changes it is receiving. So once the changes are received, it will write it to local trail. So you can always check the statistics of extint. To check the statistics, you need to do stats extint. When you do stats extint, you will find that extint has captured 4 changes, 4 insert statement for table DEPT1 and 7 insert statement for EMP1. Once it captures, it writes to this location. This is the local trail location. You can see it as output. Once the data becomes available in this location, this is a operating system location, my system location. Once the data gets available at this location, the Goldengate data pump process reads the data out of your local trail and writes it to remote trail. So you can again check the statistics of dpump. So dpump is writing data to this location on target system, and it has returned data of 4 inserts and 7 inserts for DEPT1 and EMP1 respectively. Now once the data is available into remote trail, the Goldengate replicate or delivery process applies it to target. So now we are on Ggate 2 and we can check the statistics of REP INT. So when we check statistics of REP INT, you can see that 7 rows have data has been successfully replicated and 4 inserts have been successfully replicated. So if you see, it says replicating from pdb1.ggtraining1.dept1 to pdb2.ggtraining2.dept2. 4 inserts have been replicated. Similarly, from EMP1 to EMP2, 7 inserts have been replicated successfully. So this is how your Goldengate replication happens. This is how your process data flow is data flow happens in Oracle Goldengate. So let us now see the course agenda. So these virtual boxes will be shared with you with Oracle database and Oracle Goldengate software for training purpose, training and learning purpose. So Oracle Goldengate version is 12.2 and database version is 12c. So this is completely hands-on training. So first of all, we'll start with overview of Oracle database. So it will start from the basics and cover all the topics. So first topic will be overview of Oracle database and what would be the architecture of Oracle database, how Goldengate captures the data. Then we'll have introduction to Oracle Goldengate. Here we'll be discussing about why Goldengate, what are the advantage Oracle Goldengate replication solution for live reporting, real-time data warehousing, live standby databases and high availability. We'll be having advantages of Oracle Goldengate. So we'll be discussing advantages in detail. Next, we'll be installing Oracle Goldengate. So we'll be downloading the software from Oracle website, we'll install Goldengate and what are the subdirectories, and we'll prepare Oracle 12c database for replication. So you will get the Oracle Goldengate software which is used for learning purpose with the lab setup. Then we'll be discussing about Oracle Goldengate architecture. So what we have discussed today, we'll be discussing more in detail. What are the concepts and components? What are the design consideration you need to keep in mind? So after the sessions, you may have to go to the, means client may ask you to design the Goldengate environment, Goldengate setup in your environment. So how you are going to proceed? What would be your design consideration? What things you need to keep in mind while designing your Goldengate solution? We'll be discussing all that. Next, we'll be configuring and preparing the environment. So we'll configure the manager process, we'll describe what is manager, we'll start the manager, and we'll configure the global file. Next, we'll discuss about DML replication. So everything would be demo here. So here we'll also discuss what is integrated and classic and what is integrated versus classic replicate. Then with Goldengate, it is possible to perform initial load. So how to get two databases into sync initially? So before you start Goldengate, say for instance your source database is running for 2 years. It contains 500 GB of data. Today you decided to replicate the data of Oracle Goldengate. Today you decided to use Oracle Goldengate for replication purpose. So you should have first of all that 500 GB of data loaded into the database, right? How you are going to proceed with that? What steps you need to get to perform to do initial load? So at the database level, you have export, import, you have arm and duplicate, you have transportable table space. Also, Goldengate provides you the ability to do the initial load. How it is different from database utilities, we'll be discussing. Next, we'll be discussing about zero downtime migration and upgradation using Oracle Goldengate strategy. So how to perform zero downtime migration and upgradation using Goldengate. Also with this training, we'll be discussing 12c new features. What are the ways you can use Goldengate for application. Next is parameter files. Now parameter files are the heartbeat of Oracle Goldengate. Parameter files are the heartbeat of Oracle Goldengate. So what are the parameters of Goldengate? How you can use Goldengate for replication purpose. So all this we'll be discussing during the training session. Apart from that, upon completion of the training, you may be asked to work in an environment where Goldengate is already set up. So you will need to understand the parameter file. So there we'll be discussing how to comprehend existing parameter file. Or you may be asked to develop a Goldengate solution, set up a Goldengate solution. Therein you will have to set up a new parameter file. So we'll be discussing how to configure parameter file as well. Next, we'll discuss about data definition file. So data definition file is used for replication of data between heterogeneous databases. So What is the new feature of 12c? How the data gets written automatically. We'll discuss all this in data definition file. Next, we'll be discussing about DDL replication. So Goldengate also supports DDL replication in your environment. So what are the consideration you need to keep in mind? We'll be discussing in DDL replication. So whenever you do alter, drop, create, we'll be discussing in DDL. Then bidirectional replication. Here we'll be discussing what are the conflict detection and resolution, what is active and active passive. Next we'll be discussing about Oracle Goldengate security. So every organization is very much concerned about the security in their environment. They are very much concerned about security in their environment. Whatever capability a tool can offer, however, if it cannot keep their data secure, it is of no use for the organization. So there are certain new features which have been introduced for the security purpose in 12c. One of them include wallet creation, second is user ID, alias and password storage, then how to encrypt your trail files. So see, when the data is sent over the network, here what is happening? Your data is being sent over the network. Now when the data is sent over the network, it may be a risk. So you should be encrypting the trail file. Then we'll be discussing what are the Goldengate issues and how you should troubleshoot, how you should approach your strategy. So basically during the training, we'll be discussing your approach, how you can approach your Goldengate troubleshooting. Basically that is much more important. How to approach, suppose when you are working as a Goldengate specialist, what happens is there may be some issues which may come, and definitely that's what Goldengate administrators are required and paid for. So if you have to understand what Goldengate issue is there, your approach should be proper, how you should be approaching, what strategy you should be following. So we'll be discussing that. Also there are discard file creations if there are any discards in Goldengate. Another important thing is, for instance, your Goldengate is already running. You are asked, it is already replicating 20 tables. You are asked to add a new table in your already running Goldengate processes. So how will you proceed? So how to add a new table in already running Goldengate configuration environment. Next would be how to adjust your extract and replicate based on system change number, database logs and timestamp. So you can always move your processes back and forward. The next we'll be discussing about how to manage Oracle Goldengate. So here we'll be discussing about how to manage the trail files, how to do automatic process startup, how to use Goldengate for reporting and statistics. Next we'll be discussing about how to read the trail files. So the trail files which you create are binary format files and you cannot read them directly. So how to read your trail files using logdump utility, we'll be discussing that. Next we'll be discussing about performance of Oracle Goldengate. So how Goldengate manages, there are two performance related parameters of Goldengate. One is lag, second is checkpoint. So what is checkpoint? How Goldengate ensures data integrity in your environment. How to monitor lag in your Goldengate environment. We'll be discussing that in performance of Oracle Goldengate. And then we'll be having question and answer session regularly we'll be having. So along with this training, you will receive the virtual machine setup along with Linux image loaded with Oracle database and Oracle Goldengate software. Also, you will receive the training kit which includes interview question and answers and also a lot of training documents as well. So upon completion of training, you can go for Oracle Goldengate certification. You can be Oracle Goldengate implementation specialist, or you can go for Oracle Goldengate 12c essentials as well. So we'll be starting our training sessions from next week Saturday. Timing would be same as of today. So this is the session plan where we'll be having the sessions. So we are starting, our session 1 is on 12th of August. This is a weekend batch. So sessions will be on Saturdays and Sundays. So every day they will start from 7:30 a.m. EST or 5 p.m. IST. You can definitely convert it according to your time zone. So it's same time what we have started today. So it would be on Saturday and Sunday, and every day there would be 2.5 hours except first two sessions on 12th and 13th, when we have 1.5 hour session. So next week we have 1.5 hour session. After that every day we'll have 2.5 hours session. So this session plan is already shared with you. You can always download it from the link which I have shared. Anyways, I'll share it again. In the calendar invite you must have received it. So our session will happen on the link which I'm sharing it with you right now. I have pinged on the chat session. So this is the session link, and you will be receiving a mail for that as well. What is the session link? So on 3rd of September, Sunday, we won't be having the session because I have one production related activity on that day in my organization. So on 3rd of September, we don't have any session. Apart from that, until 10th of September, our session will start from 12th and will end on 10th of September. So this session plan is shared and is there on Google Drive. You can also check it in calendar invite, it's there. And course agenda is also shared with you. So job market of Goldengate is very good currently. It is one of the hottest technology in the market. So today there are a lot of Goldengate admin jobs, but the thing is not many Goldengate experts are there. In fact, Goldengate, if you include Goldengate in your resume, it stands out your resume. So company need skilled professionals who are able to understand and design Goldengate requirement. You can set up Goldengate for disaster recovery. You can troubleshoot configuration, integration, start, stop issues quickly. So this is the average Oracle Goldengate salary in USA. This figure is taken out from Indeed.com. So as of August 30, 2016, the average Oracle Goldengate salary was 98,000 in United States. So currently it's one of the hottest technology in the market. If you ask North America, Europe, or India, everywhere, this is one of the hottest technology. So you can always check the feedback of the training sessions on my LinkedIn profiles as well. All you need to do attend the training is good internet connection, and feedback etc. is always available on my LinkedIn profile. So this is one of the feedback which I received recently. So thank you. This was from my side. Thanks for attending the session, everyone.